Have you ever craved bubble tea, but don't want the regret that follows? Every time I buy bubble tea, the excitement hits, but so does the effect on my blood sugar an hour later. To adapt, I started asking for no added sugar, which helped but didn't entirely solve the problem. I was craving for the sugar and the energy boost that followed, but also the chewy texture of the pearls. Part of building the life we want, a slower, more self-reliant, homesteading life, is learning to recreate the things we enjoy instead of depending on them. Looking for my own replacement in the past, I started cooking the large store-bought tapioca pearls. In this way, I could make my own milk tea and have control over the amount of sugar. With further research, I learned that basil seeds, once soaked, are supposed to have a similar texture to the tapioca pearls. While it was a step forward, the smaller, less chewy bloated basil seeds didn't seem to satisfy the craving. In an attempt to change my bubble tea order, I decided to try and add the coconut jelly along with the pearls. While there's still a heavy sugar composition, the texture was much more similar to that of the pearls. So naturally, I went down the rabbit hole to see if I could make my own. With that, I discovered I could make a healthier version of bubble tea with coconut jelly. One of the main ingredients is gelatin, and it's protein-based. It gives you that full feeling with much less calories. Plus, with the coconut flavor, I don't need to add any sugar, as the coconut and vanilla extract naturally sweetens. This way, I can control the sugar and squash the bubble tea craving. Heat 1.5 cups of water on the stove, keeping the heat on medium-low, reserving at least 2 tablespoons of cold water to bloom the gelatin. I usually save half the water for this as it makes my measuring cup a bit easier to clean after. For a stronger coconut flavor, you can use coconut water as a substitute. Add in 2 to 3 teaspoons of gelatin into the reserved water, letting it sit for 5 to 10 minutes as the gelatin expands and absorbs the water. Blooming the gelatin ensures the jelly sets properly and has a smooth texture. Using 2 teaspoons produces a softer coconut jelly, while 3 teaspoons will give you a firmer, chewier version. Once the gelatin is ready, add to the pot and stir until it is melted in and fully incorporated. Ensure the water isn't boiling, as it can affect the stability of the gelatin. Add in 3/4 of a cup of full-fat coconut milk for a creamy texture and coconut flavor. At this point, you can add in half a teaspoon of vanilla extract and a bit of sweetener, such as honey if you so choose. However, sweetener isn't necessary. When everything is well mixed, pour into a shallow dish or mold. Let it cool on the counter before placing in the fridge to set. After a few hours, the coconut jelly can be cut into small cubes or strips that will work for a wider straw. It can then be added into milk tea, iced tea, or coffee. I like to add it to my smoothie after it's been blended to keep me feeling full until lunch. It could even be eaten as is for a protein snack. This creates a base recipe which can be altered to create different flavors like chocolate or a fruit version. While my husband and I still give in to our bubble tea cravings occasionally, I now have a recipe to fight back the cravings.